Hello, my name is Shelley Phillips, and I've been working with your iCook team over the past few months building out your protocol form. Cayuse Animal Oversight application will increase the transparency of animal research protocols. The system will shorten the turnaround time for review and approval. The Cayuse application works best in Google Chrome, Firefox, and Safari, and is not compatible with Internet Explorer or Edge. Our system does utilize pop-ups, so be sure you allow Cayuse's site to have pop-ups if you have any pop-up blocker software. When you log into your site, you will land here on this home page where you see My Tasks. Here you can create tasks with deadlines and have the capability to assign them with even due dates. At the top right, you can toggle through the products you have been assigned to. Here we have Animal Oversight. As the system loads, here at the top, you can see you're on the CCNY site. Here you have your various roles. If you are assigned multiple roles, you'll be able to see them here in the drop-down. If you are a researcher, you'll have the researcher staff member, or if you're a lab member of a researcher, your role will also be researcher staff member. You may also have the role as the iCook committee member, and to change that, you would select that. After your role here, you will see PI group. You can work under multiple researcher groups. If you need to change in between, it is a drop-down you'll be able to click on and select between which researcher you're working under currently. When you are under the right role in the PI group, you here have on your left the table of contents. You have your orange question mark with your guides and articles in regards to the application you're currently in. Again, here on the left is your alerts table. Here you have protocol actions. This will contain all of your approved protocols and where you'll initiate most of your activities. On this page, you can start a protocol, copy a protocol to a new document, start an amendment, perform a version preview, or check out the animal register. This register will describe the animal activity associated to your protocol and will let you know what your current number is out of your approved number of animals. Next, you have draft protocols. You can see the protocols that were started but not yet submitted to the office for review workflow. Protocols in review. Any protocols, either new, renewals, or amendments that have been submitted to the office for the review process will show up here. When your protocol is due for its annual review, it'll show up in this alert here 60 days before it's due. You will also receive an email notifying you of its due date. You will receive an email every 30 days after until you start your draft. Once you've submitted that annual review to the office for review, it'd show up in the Annuals in Review alerts. Any renewals that are coming due will show up in this alert 90 days before its due date. You will also receive an email letting you know it's 90 days till its due date, and you'll receive an email every 30 days until you start your draft. Draft amendments. Any amendments that you have started but not yet submitted to the office will show up in this alert. And transfer ownership. If you plan on transferring some animals to another researcher, you will find that progress of request here. So let's take a look at starting a new protocol. Again, you'll go to your protocol actions and click on the button Start a New Protocol Application. Here is just verifying that your work will involve vertebrate animals or products of vertebrate animals. If you say yes, you have a new button that's animated to start the new application. Here you will see there's only one section. We have some tips on navigation, what browsers are supported by the Cayuse application, and as you complete each section, you will see a green mark. You can navigate between sections using the arrows at the bottom that will say previous or next, or you can click the next section in the table of contents on the left. At the bottom, there will be a preview protocol section. Here you'll be able to preview protocol as a PDF to save and or print. There'll be an attachment section that will list all the attachments that you have inserted throughout your protocol. At the very end, there's a cancel draft protocol. If for some reason you just want to start over anew, you can cancel this draft. It'll just ask you for your reasoning. Now we have our options. Based off of what we answer in these options, we'll then define what sections are built out within the protocol. You'll see there are checkboxes and yes and no answers, and another grid down below. On some questions, you will see this purple question mark. We call this a clue tip. If you hover over, it'll provide you further information of what your institution is looking for in this information. So for federal and funding, foundation funding, you'll check this box if, say, you have NIH grants and other government agencies, nonprofit health organizations, and foundations. So if you have any of that type of funding, you would check off that box. If you have any internal funding from your institution, you can click here. If you'll be receiving private or commercial funding or any other type of funding. Whether you'll be utilizing tissues or cell lines from an outside source, if you'll be collaborating with an outside institution, if any live animal research will be conducted off campus, if animals will be housed outside the central housing facility for more than 12 hours, if you'll be moving animals through public access areas, and if you'll be conducting any field studies. Next section here is the species grid. You'll be able to add what species you'll be working on, and then whether that work will include breeding of those animals, any non-surgical procedures, any restraints, any surgery procedures, administering any veterinary drugs, exposing to any test agents or hazardous agents, and whether you'll be euthanizing the animal. If you'd like more information of what your institution is looking for in each of these boxes, there is this clue tip on your species grid that'll break it out for you. So let's say I'm working with mice, and for training purposes, let's say yes to all of these options. I'm going to save my species grid info, and now I'm going to save my protocol options. Now you will see all these various sections have been built out based off of what I've answered up here in the options menu. If you come to that section and realize that doesn't actually apply to you, let's say other funding, you can come back to that options page, uncheck that box, and hit save. You'll now see other funding has been removed. Our next section is our overview. Here, it's going to ask you about title, your lay abstract, benefits, and summary. This is a multi-tabbed page. If I go to each tab, I will see the associated question or questions. You'll also notice a red asterisk along with these questions. This is indicating this is a required field and must be answered before you can save changes. So let's say I just answer my test summary and give this a funny title, and I try to save. The system will let you know what fields were required that you missed. So let's fill out some information. Now if I hit save, I will now receive a green check mark. During the whole process of a review, you'll see various icons over here in your table of contents. If you have any questions of what they might be, there is a clue tip over here that'll define what each icon indicates. So again, that white means that section has not been completed. That green box with the check mark means that section's been completed. When we start going through a review process, if you see a person with a pencil, that section's been marked with reviewer comments. If you go in and begin amendments or having to add additional information based on a reviewer's comments and you add new pages, you will have a pencil mark and that'll indicate that page has been edited. Again, back to that review process, if you answer a reviewer's comments, you will then get a green check mark and any new records will be indicated by a green plus sign. To get out of this, just hit the X and it'll take you where you were. So our next section that we're going to need to fill out is our federal funding. You will see add from my list of funds and add funding source. Once you have one or more approved protocols, you can go to add from my list of funds. And what this will do will list your previously approved funds that you have on other protocols. So if you're using that same fund for this protocol as well, you can highlight that and then add selected records. Let's say you're also receiving another federal funding source. So I'm going to now click the Add Funding Source. And here in this drop-down, you'll be able to add that institution's name. Let's say National Institute of Health, Ningham's. Do note this instructions above that if your funding source is not available in that drop list, to contact the IACUC office and they will add it to this dictionary. You will notice the grant title and currently funded are not required, so I am able to save and move on. But let's say this is currently funded and there's going to be some follow-up questions on that. Here it's asking for my grant number and the proposed end date. And now we can save changes. It'll be the same information regarding internal funding. Here it's going to be pulling from your admin dictionary list. And then you have the opportunity to add further information, but it is not required. We can have private funding. And you'll notice some pages will have attached file and a grid here that will list all the attachment that you have put on this section. Here you'll see it's asking you to provide a copy of your grant per OLAW requirements. And that'll be the same for your internal funding and federal funding. Not your internal. Next section, we have tissues and cell lines. Again, because we answered up in our options that our work will involve tissues and cell lines from an outside source, it'll populate this page. Again, it's just asking you one more time if tissues are being taken from live animals specifically for your study. If you say yes, it's going to be asking for the source institution's assurance number and the protocol number. These are the navigation buttons spoken before. You have previous and next. Here we have outside collaboration. Again, you can add from my list of outside collaboration and it'll pull what you have listed on previously approved protocols, or you can add your outside collaboration. Here it's asking for the company or the institution's name, assurance number, protocol number, and any species to be used outside the institution. Off-campus work, again, you're going to be answering questions regarding animal work performed off campus. If animal work will be conducted off campus, the IACUC may require additional approval or inspections. Here is asking for the name of the collaborator, the offsite location, and that assurance number. Next section is the housing outside the central facility and whether that's going to be for 12 hours or more than 24. If you say yes to one of them, there'll be follow-up questions requiring that location information and your scientific justification. On these larger text box areas, you will notice in the bottom right 2 lines that allows you to click and drag that text area to be as big as you need. Next section is asking about transportation of animals. You will notice there are some hyperlinks within the form, and you'll be able to click that, and it'll either take you to that website or it'll download a PDF or Word document for you to fill out. Because we already said we'll be transporting animals, it automatically marks this as yes. And now we need to describe that proposed route and containment method for those animals and provide our justification. Here we have our use types. We're going to identify the type of study our research will fall under, or our protocol will fall under. You have research, field, holding, housing, or holding and housing. If it is another, you're able to specify below. Next here are going to be your field study. If you are doing field study, you will not need to fill out any species-specific information, and so you wouldn't be filling out anything here on your options section under the protocol species grid here. Here is where all your information about your study and their animals will fall under. Again, you will see it's multiple tabs. This is a field study location. If your animals are captured or handled during the study, if you say yes, it'll have this wild capture tab. Here you're going to be entering your details. Here we have a different type of answer. This is a drop down and you'll be able to select from there. Monitoring of the health of captured animals. Safety precautions, and any permits that may be required. The next sections that we'll be filling out are going to be in regards to this mouse species here. So our first is general information, asking the age range, the target weight, the maximum number of cages that will be housed at one time, the estimate of average length of time housed, and whether these animals will be specific pathogen-free. Next, we have identification method, and this grid here will help guide you what is best for your animals, providing advantages and disadvantages for each. And at the bottom here, you'll see you'll have a text area to enter what you will be utilizing. Next is a species justification. Here you have a drop-down and to indicate why the species is appropriate. If you had selected other, which is here, it asks you to provide your justification. But if you select anything else, it's indicating to hit an A. This is a required field, so you will have to enter in something before you can save changes and move on. Here I am on my use locations. So if I add use locations, this is going to be dictionary backed, and so if you do not see your facility and or your room in the list, please reach out to the IACUC office to have it added. And here you'll just be indicating whether it's a housing type or a use type. It's important if you are listing any housing that is use and/or housing that you would select use, because you will be able to pull from this list further on in your protocol. Next is going to be asking for strains. I'm going to come in and add a strain. Here you see some instructions. You'll see that this text area is a little different. It has a dotted bottom line. This is indicating this is an auto look ahead, and it'll be searching your dictionaries of species. So if you hit the space bar, it'll list the available mouse species that your institution has built out. If you do not see it on the list, you can also add to it. Again, it's asking for some age information, weight information, and here you'll be able to add the phenotype of that species. You are able to add multiple strains. You can also come back and edit a strain when you think you have additional information. Or if you realize you added in a mistake, you can also remove that strain. You'll have a pop-up asking, "Are you sure?" and you'll just say, "Okay." Now we can go to the next page. This is regarding breeding. It's asking if you'll have any transgenic flags. And there's a clue tip to kind of give you information of what that would be. You can enter yes or no, and then whether you'll be maintaining a breeding colony. If you say yes, you'll come down to this grid area here, and you're going to add a strain. So again, this is going to be an auto look ahead, or it's a free text. You can add a generation, whether you be performing any genetic monitoring, and the breeding scheme, whether it's breeding, trio, or harem, and any subline strains that you know will come out of this. And you'll be able to hit save, and now save that section. Next, we have our non-sequential procedures. Again, we have our add from my list or add procedure. Procedures, again, are dictionary backed, which are operated by your office staff. So if you do not see your procedure here, please reach out to them to have it added. You do have an other, and then you can provide information here. Here is a word text area. You're able to add rich text, whether it's bold, italicized, underlined, strike through, subscript, or superscript. You can change text color, highlight sections, insert grids, and other various rich text. And then you have this icon here where it has 4 arrows to each corner. This is indicating you want this field to be full screen. Here it now takes you full screen, and you're able to then enter rich text into here. It is important to keep in mind you need to hit that same icon of the arrows to each corner to exit full screen to then save that information. Next, we have restraints. And again, restraints are restraints lasting 10 minutes or longer. This is dictionary backed. If you do not see your source, reach out to your office to have it added to the dictionary. You have the option of chronic, prolonged, routine, or specialized, and the have follow-up information, the rationale, that duration, and if you'll be acclimating the animal to that restraint device. Next, we have surgeries. Again, surgery type is going to be dictionary backed. If you do not see your list here, you can enter other, and if it's other, please enter the surgery name here. And then it's asking the recovery type, whether it's recovery or non-recovery. And then you have 3 more tabs to fill out: pre-op information, post-op information, and then surgery locations. What is listed here is pulled from your use location section here. So if you did not add any use locations here, there would be no options for you to add here. So it is important to, under use locations, to add all locations you'll be utilizing animals in, whether it's a surgical procedure, euthanasia, and so forth. Take note, there is a column here for multiple survival surgeries. Out of box, or after answering surgery page information, it'll be a no, but your next page or your next section here is your multiple survival surgery question and whether an animal will go through a multiple survival surgery. They hit yes. Information there for the rationality. You come back to surgery, and that MMS will be a yes. As seen here. Our next section is in regards to veterinary drugs, and based on the species you are under, it'll provide the available drugs, whether it's isoflurane or meloxicam. You would then add those selected records, and you'll see here there are in red, indicating we need to come and edit that information. It does pull in the drug dosage for these animals and the administration route, but there is further information that's asking for what procedures will this drug be utilized and the reason for administration, and then whether this is a pharmaceutical grade drug. If you say no, here it'll ask you to please justify the use of this drug and indicate how it is sterilized or determined to be pathogen-free. You will need to edit all red line items. Before you can get a green check mark on this page. And now I have that green check mark as all required information has now been filled out. Now that all required information has been answered, I now have 2 red lines and I can move to the next section. Here is our hazardous administration, and we can add agents that will be exposed to these animals. Select which ones and add that record. You will see here it is highlighted red, so we need to come in and provide further information that is required. Here it's asking for the biosafety or other committee numbers, a route of administration, or other if it's not listed here, the volume and frequency, whether it's brought into the facility. We have a follow-up that's animated. It's going to ask for that duration during the facility, if it'll be shed or excreted by the animals, any precautionary information, such as PPE, fume hoods, and disinfectants. Here it is asking to attach any associated SOPs and whether this is a pharmaceutical agent. You'll click yes, and it takes you back to that grid. To here you can attach that safety SOP. Our next page is going to be euthanasia. Here you can check off what that euthanasia is, and here you can enter in the secondary method of assurance of euthanasia. You will have a pop-up asking if you'd like to add a drug to this euthanasia. If you say okay, you have this new grid here where you'll be able to add that drug, enter the dosage, and its route of administration. Next, you have your animal numbers. This grid here is just letting you know what you have selected for the species so far to help you best define what pain category the animals fall into. Here you are able to enter the animals you need for the various pain categories, and then your justification of animal use. There are field bulletins that your institution is asking you to hit. And again, you have this rich text area. You're able to add graphs, pictures, special characters in, and an attachment grid for any supporting documents. Now you have your methodology. Here's some leading information to help you best answer these questions. Next is unrelieved pain and distress. Whether you'll be working with any Category E animals. If you say yes, there's further information asking, but if no, you can move to the next page. And next we have our 3 R's. We have reduce, refine, and replace, all required and to be answered. And then finally, we have any adverse reactions expected. If you say yes, it'll give you an area for you to describe further information. And then here we have SOP exemptions. Whether you're requesting any exemptions to the guide or IACUC policies, if you say yes, it'll ask you to describe and provide a justification. So let's say we're going to work on reverse light environment. And if you be subjecting your animals to food or water restrictions, again, it's asking for a scientific justification and details, and any specialty husbandry requirements can be added there and save your key. Next, we have our personnel list. We will need to highlight our person and come in and add additional information. On this personnel info, you will see at the bottom primary contact and copy on all emails. The primary contact, this person may be contacted by the office for information about your protocol. And then the copy on all emails is for the researcher on the protocol to receive emails in regards to this protocol. And both will need to be checked for them to receive those emails. Next, you have personnel activities, whether this person will be handling animal species. If you say yes, it will list the various actions that you have listed in your protocol that require handling. You can select a few or have all selected, and then your training profile. It's asking for your degree, experience, number of years of experience, but what's most important is have you completed your policy orientation and wet lab training, and whether you submitted and have your signed copy of your animal contact health surveillance questionnaire. And you'll need to do that for any personnel listed. And you can also add personnel. It's going to look for a last name first. So as you start typing, it'll pull who's available, and you can select and add them as needed. And here is that attachment grid to add those supporting documents requested by your IACUC office. Next is databases searched when you are working with level D and E categories. If you say yes, there's a list of research information they are wanting to verify. and endpoints here. Any clinical parameters that would lead to an early euthanasia and any of the procedures described in this protocol. And then this last statement here, the information contained in this protocol is true and accurate, and that to the best of your knowledge, it conforms to your IACUC's and USDA policies on the use of animals in research. And now our final section is our submit protocol. You will not be able to submit your protocol until you have all green check marks. Once you have submitted your protocol, you'll be able to see it here in Protocols in Review under New. So I have submitted a protocol to the office for review. They have gone through some reviews with their committee members, and as you'll see here, it's back in my inbox. In this section, you can see the title and where it's to and from. So it was from the IACUC office back to me, asking for some revisions. You will also see whether this is to the office or to the meeting, and that this protocol has been listed on a meeting, or if it's out to committee members for review. When it is not in your inbox, instead of black text, it'll be italicized gray, and you won't be able to click on it. So now this is it's my turn for PI revisions. I'm going to click on that protocol number here, and it'll pull that protocol and showing these icons as we discussed previously, our reviewer comments. So if I click on that section, and there's an icon next to this line item. This is indicating their comments regarding this line item. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to edit. Here is the reviewer pane. I can see the changes in those reviewer notes. Here they're asking to provide more information. And I'm going to provide information and save changes. Because I've addressed that commenter's comment, I now have a green check mark. I'm not able to submit this protocol back to the office to continue my review until I have all green check marks. So let's check out these other sections. I have one here, so let's go ahead and edit. Please spell out the abbreviation of OVX. So here I'm going to then spell out OVX. Of what OVX is and hit save. Next, we have a comment here on methodology. It says, please provide more detailed information. This has good amount of information. I'm not seeing what that commenter is really asking for. There is a review button that I can click and rebuttal this comment. Enter the comment, but still hit save here. I now have all green check marks, so now I can come to submit protocol and submit protocol. Now, I am not the lead researcher for this PI group. I am working under this researcher. So I can review and submit on behalf of, but what will happen is an email has now gone out to Dr. Acosta for them to come in, review, and officially submit to the office. So it looks like I have a renewal that is due that is showing up here in my inbox. In this grid, you'll be able to see the original approval date, the next review date and its expiration date. Here you'll see it is due in 30 days. To fill this out, I will click on that protocol number. Here is just some information of my protocol. And then here we have a rich text area for our progress report. Fill out information, how the research is going, and then our renewal actions. We can either renewal our protocol or let it lapse upon expiration. Say I've gotten all the data I needed and I'm good to go now to write my paper. I can lapse this upon expiration. And now it's asking what the disposition of those animals will be, whether we'll be euthanizing them all, leaving them with another researcher, or transferring them, or leaving with me, or transferring the protocol to another. But let's say research is going well. I have good data, but I need more data. I will then have my protocol be renewed. It's just reminding me what species I've listed and number of animals and any funding. When I hit save, I now have a button that says Start Renewal Review. What this will do is the system will generate my latest approved version of the protocol and then have me go through each page again with the transferred information to verify and make sure all is the same, to then hit Save Changes and get that green check mark. I would need to go through each page and save that information before I can come here and submit that renewal protocol. Now let's take a look what a renewal will look like. So I'm going to change my group and work under Shelley Phillips's protocol, which are my protocols. So here, annual reviews, you'll see this is in red. You'll see I've been bad, and now my protocol is 85 days past due. Hopefully you will never have this happen. Same process before, you will click on that protocol number. And again, it'll have your basic information of your protocol, and then here, a progress report. It's going to be a rich text area for you then to keep in your information. And then same status, whether you're going to continue or withdraw. If it's a withdrawal, it's a very simple process. But if it's going to continue, you have extra tabs to fill out. You can remove personnel from your protocol. You will have to wait for this annual review to be approved before you can add any new personnel to your protocol through an amendment. Here, it's asking for any adverse events that may have happened. That is required. But then the next three tabs, the alternative use to animals, the alternatives to painful procedures, and research duplication verification, is information that you can answer, but is not required. This last tab here, future plans, whether it's no changes or changes are planned. This is just giving your ICOOK committee a heads up of what to be expecting from you in the future, but does not start any actual processes. So if I hit save, I can now submit my annual review to the office to start the review process. So here, annuals in review. The one I just submitted here, as again, because it's no longer in my inbox, it is with the office, it is going to be italicized and grayed out. But the nice thing is you'll be able to see the workflow of your protocols through these in review alerts. So you can see here, this has gone out to a full committee review. This protocol has been placed on the meeting agenda. This protocol here is ready for me to go through some revisions. There are further actions you can do as well within your animal oversight. You have your three white dots here, which is your actions menu. Here is where you can initiate a transfer of a protocol to another protocol. You can do a report, do an ALAC compliance report, or do protocol searches, your funding searches, or your register search. These searches and reports can be saved or exported as a CSV file. In a protocol search, you'll be able to find your protocol, and then you have this button here called Protocol Version Preview. And you can see this protocol has gone through 3 different versions. You'll click on that protocol. It'll open up a new tab, and at the very top you have compared to previous, and let's say revisions. Let's compare our 2 versions. Let's say compared 2 to 3. And these icons here indicate the changes that have occurred. If I click on that section, I can see what has been added and removed. So I can see the housing type on this has been changed. I can go back to my table of contents with that button and come to personnel list. Here I can see lava has been added, and all the green is added text. All the red is removed text. That's a great way to compare. Let's say your protocol is in review, and you need a better view of your overall protocol. As stated previously, down here at the bottom, you have Preview Protocol. You'll hit that button again here, and it will open up a full new window of a PDF of your protocol with a clickable table of contents. So I need to verify my surgical procedures. I can click on that, and here we'll build out my grid and then all the finer detail of each of those line items. You can always right-click on your mouse to print and or save as a PDF. Thank you for your time and best of luck with your new Cayuse Animal Oversight application.